Renee, would you like to add anything on top of that in terms of the tension that you're feeling around building their cultures in their organization? And what is the shift that you are feeling?
Hello, and welcome to the Regenerative Edge. This is a podcast focused on creating a listening space for founders, directors, and changemakers who are tired of pretending that growing a business and healing the world have to be two separate things. This is not your typical business podcast. In this episode, Moh speaks with Renee from Tandem about how self-awareness, integration, and everyday practices shape the cultures we build within organizations, and what it means to create space where people can show up more fully. Enjoy.
There's definitely this thread of kind of awakening and like this return to kind of consciousness. Like we've been on automatic pilot up to this point, and there's this collective awakening, and I'm not sure where the thread kind of comes from, but you can, because like with many things, it's building over time. So you can see it starts with kind of this mental health movement of like, okay, we're all going to start to get into therapy. We're all going to start to do these practices of like reflecting on our lives, our lived experience, our family systems, our histories. And then I think going through the pandemic was this other collective moment of like, oh my goodness, it's mental health, it's physical health, it's care for myself, it's care for others. And I do feel like these sorts of things are the foundations that have started this like maybe more awareness of self, and then bringing that into business, because we're holistic beings. We're I think maybe when we were less aware, there was more masking happening. So it was like you had yourself over here, your personal life, and then you have your business self, the mask that you put on. And I think what we're realizing is that like being out of alignment and that whole process of masking, that's like very unhealthy for ourselves. And so as we start to like reintegrate, you see people changing jobs. Like, how can I pick a job that's going to be more fulfilling to me, that's going to be more integrated with my values? So like that shift is happening. And we have more and more leaders coming and saying like, how can I bring these things that I'm noticing are harmful and unhealthy, and rework my business to not uplift these paradigms? Like, how can I create a space where other people don't have to mask? I think Tanya.
Have you had to remerge your personal self and your business self? And have you created a space for others to do the same?
And I talk about that a lot. Tandem, we see Tandem as a place where people can kind of like be their whole selves and bring their best gifts to work, but be in whatever they're bringing. So it's like, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to like show up a certain way. Just show up as you. I think the last thread that I'll weave in, the tension between like self-resourcing and like resourcing from community. And that was something that really became apparent through Chantel Chapman has a program called The Trauma of Money that's quite powerful. I took it thinking, oh, this, I work in a space with finance and accounting. Like, I want to spend more time thinking about money and from a holistic perspective, but it actually was a lot of like self-work and community work. So examples of that are like how to regulate yourself, and like realizing that there are things happening in society that like dysregulate us, and how can we kind of find that balance and equilibrium and resource one another. So I just wanted to bring that in. And maybe another thread that I'll make a note in our document is just a thread around grief, and how we are all having to become very grief literate, and how that ties into the leader. Yes. Also being like a doula. So it's like you're doulaing businesses, you're doulaing the grief of what your employees are going through. So yeah.
Thank you for listening to The Regenerative Edge. Today's conversation invites us inwards to reconnect with the self and how we show up. In the next episode, we turn outwards, exploring what happens when these ways of being meet the realities of growing something regenerative. To continue the discussion yourself, you can visit the website in our description. The Regenerative Edge is stewarded by Zebra Growth, an agency working to shift the marketing landscape for intention and practice towards a regenerative approach that nurtures resilience, cultivates connection, and redefines what success can mean. This podcast is also nourished by the talent and insight of our foundational partners, Unity Effect and Tandem, who you'll meet throughout Season 1. Walk to the edge with us. The bridge is wide enough for all.